And now, from approximately coast to coast, it's the Bob and Ray Radio Show. Well, hi again, everybody, and we have such a full agenda here today that we got to get going right away. Our two senior news reporters, Wally Ballou and Arthur Schermerhorn, are covering a major story in Midtown New York today. So, for their late report, we go now to Manhattan's Fessenden Hotel.
Lee Ballou here in the Gold Horizon room of the once fashionable Fessenden Hotel. Empty folding chairs are all over the place to my right for the news conference to be held shortly by Congressman-at-Large Grover Bushnell. Rumor has it that the congressman will be announcing his candidacy for president in 1988. So for the latest on those unfounded reports, let's switch now from the back of the conference room to the podium area and my broadcasting colleague, Artie Schermerhorn.
Arthur Schermerhorn here at the podium area of the Gold Horizon room. I'm not sure why Wally Ballou thinks I have any late word on Congressman Bushnell's plans from this vantage point, since no one else has arrived in the room yet. However, we are expecting the congressman to arrive momentarily, and everything is in readiness for his arrival. The carpet appears to have been recently vacuumed with its badly worn red pattern showing against a blue background. And now, as we await the start of the briefing, I believe that Wally Ballou has a guest with him. So come in, please, Wally.
Thank you, Artie. I do indeed have a guest with me. He's the first arrival at the news conference, other than the two of us. And you told me, sir, you are Carl Diesendorf of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Is it the Milwaukee Journal you're affiliated with?
No, I'm with Backerman and Finch out there. We're in wholesale plumbing fixtures. All top-of-the-line merchandise, chrome-plated faucets and that sort of thing.
I see. Well, why do you suppose a person in your field would be assigned to cover the news conference of Congressman Bushnell?
Oh, I don't know. I kind of doubt that anybody in my field is doing that. I just kind of wandered in here by mistake myself. I thought this was the door to the coffee shop.
Oh, well, then I don't suppose you'd be able to confirm or deny the report that Congressman Bushnell plans to become a candidate for president today.
No, I sure wouldn't.
Okay. Well, thanks for giving us the views of a typical voter like yourself. And now back to my colleague Artie Schermerhorn in the podium area.
Thanks, Wally. I might just inject a brief note of mystery into these proceedings. This news conference was scheduled to begin about 5 minutes ago, but so far there's little activity here in the Gold Horizon room. I suppose that could indicate that Mr. Bushnell is still trying to reach a decision about his candidacy. Do you have any thoughts on that, Wally?
Artie, very sorry indeed. I wasn't listening to your remarks, but I do have a guest here at the mic side with me, and I presume he's a member of the congressman's entourage. What is your name, sir?
No comprendo, no hablo inglés.
Okay, well, thanks for your time. And now back to my broadcasting colleague, Arthur Schermerhorn.
Well, I don't know why you keep sending it back to me, Wally. As you can observe from your vantage point, I'm still here alone. I found some sheets of scratch paper on the desks around the podium area, but all of them are blank, so that still leaves us very much in doubt about the congressman's presidential plans. Do you have anything to add from back at the rear of the room, Wally?
No, I don't, Artie. Back to you.
Thanks, Wally. While you were speaking, I noticed that a well-dressed employee of the hotel is entering through a rear door. I presume that means the news conference will be starting soon. Say, excuse me, sir.
Me?
Yes, sir. I'm Arthur Schermerhorn, Bob and Ray News. I wonder if you could tell me what's causing the apparent delay here.
The delay in what?
Aren't you an employee of this hotel?
Yes, I'm the assistant front desk clerk, Mr. Fonts.
Well, then I presume you're aware that Congressman Grover Bushnell is scheduled to hold a news conference here in the Gold Horizon room. It was supposed to begin 10 minutes ago.
You've got the right time, fella, but the wrong day. The congressman's news conference was yesterday.
I see. Did he announce at that time whether he'd be a candidate for president?
I'm not sure. I wasn't here, but I think he talked mostly about some plan he's got to build a dam in Pennsylvania.
Nothing about running for president?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. Well, there you have it, America. Congressman Bushnell appears to be testing the straws in the wind. Meantime, he remains undecided about the presidency. That's the latest from the Fessenden Hotel. Now, for Wally Ballou and myself, this is Arthur Schermerhorn, returning it to Bob and Ray in the studio.
Welcome now to General Pharmacy, the dramatic story of handsome young druggist Ross Flecknoy and his struggle to save humanity at the prescription counter of a pharmacy still technically owned by his aging father. As our scene opens today, Ross is carefully itemizing his stock of salves and ointments when a well-dressed gentleman who's totally unknown to him approaches the prescription counter.
Oh, excuse me, I'm totally unknown to you, but I happen to be respected financier Dalton Shavy. News just came over the ticker that I've been virtually wiped out by an unexpected sell-off in cocoa futures. So naturally, I need this prescription filled.
Very well, but I'm afraid you'll have to wait until I finish itemizing my salves and ointments. If I lose count now, I'll have to start all over again.
I understand, but it still mystifies me why every major cocoa speculator in the world would choose to sell at the same time.
Good morning, Mr. Shavy. Remember me, Corky Watt, the ambitious young man you always tip an extra $1 for shining your shoes in front of the bank? Except you didn't show up there this morning, and I was worried.
Well, I'm afraid I won't be going to the bank anymore, son. I have no money left. It all went into cocoa futures on margin.
Okay, I can fill your prescription now, sir.
I had fully expected to double my fortune in a matter of days, but the market opened this morning with a sharp downside move, and I was wiped out.
I've saved every one of those dollar tips you ever gave me, Mr. Shavy, and I have almost enough now to hire another kid to work for me, shining shoes over on the west side.
There's nothing left now but my rambling estate overlooking the city, and I'm sure it will soon have to go to pay off my creditors.
If the prescription's been filled here before, I could look up the number in the file. That's one of the many humanitarian services I perform.
To think how many years I skillfully traded commodities to buy that estate. Now there's no telling where I'll live or what I'll do.
The way I look at it, I could furnish the polish and rags for another kid and still make a profit having him work on straight salary. Before long, I'll have hundreds of employees all over the county. I'm a real go-getter.
I'm only 52 years old. That's still the prime of life for most tycoons. But look at me. I'm finished.
Once I get about 50 kids hired, I'll be able to buy my shoe polish wholesale. After that, well, the sky's the limit. Representatives overseas, my own polish factory, maybe even a shoe-shine conglomerate.
The worst of it is that I'll never be able to get full market value for my rambling estate overlooking the city. Not after potential buyers find out I'm in financial distress.
I'm afraid I'll have to fill somebody else's prescription first if you don't give me yours, sir.
Oh, that's all right. It doesn't make any difference now. Take this grubby little kid first, if you want.
I don't have a prescription. I'm so charged with ambition that I've never been sick a day in my life.
You're very fortunate, my boy. Good health is something money can't buy.
Yeah, but pretty soon I'll have the money to buy anything else I want. With my get-up and go, I wouldn't even be surprised if I wind up living in that big rambling estate that overlooks the city, and I'll bet it'd cost $1 million.
I'd be willing to let it go for $700,000.
Sold.
Excellent. With that money, I can recoup my losses in the market in a month. Just wait and see if I don't.
And so, handsome young druggist Ross Flecknoy again provides a hopeless case with a will to live. But can even the most dedicated pharmacist remain free of heartbreak? Be sure to join us next time when we'll hear the president of the New York Commodity Exchange say,
Nice try, Shavy. The kid's check bounced.
That's in the next dramatic episode of General Pharmacy. Now, news of a product comparison test suggested by the makers of Einbinder flypaper. Friends, we don't expect you to take our word for it when we say that Einbinder is 30% tougher and more durable than ordinary flypaper.
And you can prove it to yourself. Hang a strip of the brand you've been using in a tile-walled bathroom and turn on the hot water in the tub. Notice how the stickum starts to run, and the paper begins to curl up in less than 24 hours.
Now, repeat the same test with Einbinders and see how it retains its shape and continues to function for up to a week. Doesn't this tell you something worth remembering? It should.
When you're shopping for flypaper, always ask for Einbinder, the brand you've gradually grown to trust over the course of 3 generations.
And now it's time for a real favorite feature of ours. We're going to pay another visit to the Bob and Ray Hobby Hut. And the gentleman who conducts that feature is Neil Klummer, the editor of Wasting Time magazine. Neil is known throughout the world as Mr. Hobby himself, and he just arrived with his special guest for today. So suppose you go right ahead and begin your interview, Neil.
Thanks very much, Bob. I do want to have as much time as possible this week because my guest is none other than Harvey Thaxter Wakeman, the premier collector of taxidermy specimens in the free world. I understand that you now have more than 600,000 stuffed animals, Mr. Wakeman.
Well, that's what the curators of my collection estimate, Neil. But until they complete their inventory for 1986, we won't know exactly how many stuffed animals, birds, fish, and insects I really do own.
Well, the collection must be growing rapidly for you to lose count of your specimens that way.
Yes, it's not just a hobby with me anymore. It's a compulsive mania to own every stuffed animal I see. And now that so many old-time taxidermists are either retiring or going bankrupt, I'm beginning to be offered their complete store of stocks. They know I'm always in the market.
Well, I don't imagine there are too many other people that a retired taxidermist could sell his whole stock to, but it must keep you busy, traveling to look at the collections that are offered.
Oh, yes. I'm on the road most of the time now, Neil. I did get back to my home in Chicago to spend part of last Christmas with my wife and children, but by doing that, I missed a chance to buy a rare stuffed pygmy crocodile. I'll never forgive Martha and the kids for causing me to blow that one.
Well, I know that every hobbyist listening can appreciate how much damage a selfish wife can do, but getting back to your collection, I'm sure that other stuffed animal lovers are wondering where you've found space to house 600,000 specimens.
Well, that's been a continuing problem, Neil. I started in one room of my home, and of course the collection outgrew that very quickly, and I bought the house next door. After that, I picked up an old abandoned dirigible hangar, and now I just keep scanning the paper for large buildings like that to buy.
Well, there aren't too many places as big as a dirigible hangar for sale, are there?
Well, they're not advertised on the open market, but you can find them if you know how to go about it. For example, when I read a few months ago that the Salt Lake City professional basketball team had folded, I called right away and bought their field house. Now I have almost 500 stuffed elephants stored on the ground level out there, and then up in the seats I have smaller specimens like owls, swordfish, insects, things like that.
Well, that brings up a question.
Excuse me, Neil. I might just add that I now have 14,500 stuffed specimens in the grandstand out there. Now, that's a bigger crowd than the Salt Lake City team ever drew for a basketball game.
Well, that's an achievement you can be proud of, sir, but I wanted to ask about the reference you made to insects in your collection. I never knew that insects were considered taxidermy specimens.
Well, it's true that some of my insects have been pickled rather than stuffed, Neil, but I collect them anyway if they have historical significance. For example, I recently bought 12,000 pickled locusts from a gentleman who said they'd been in his family ever since the Great Locust Plague of 1847.
I see. Well, in cases like that, could you tell us how you get documentary proof that the specimens you buy really have historical significance?
No, I wouldn't know how to tell you to do that. As I said, my avid collecting has grown into a compulsive mania, so I believe whatever people want to tell me. In fact, I barely even heard the guy who was telling me about the background of his 12,000 locusts. I was too busy writing out the check to buy them.
So in other words, you admit you may have been cheated.
How could I have been cheated? I got the 12,000 locusts, didn't I?
Yes, I guess you got a fair deal if the only important thing is owning 12,000 locusts, regardless of their background.
Yes, that was the only important thing. I had to have them. Incidentally, what do you take for those two specimens over there?
Well, I couldn't sell them, Mr. Wakeman. Those specimens are Bob and Ray, and they aren't stuffed, they're just asleep.
Well, here's my card.
Uh-huh.
Give me a call if you change your mind, and if they wake up and you want to talk business. Goodbye.
Gosh. We've been visiting today with the world's leading collector of taxidermy specimens, Mr. Harvey Thaxter Wakeman. And now, until time for our next get-together in the Hobby Hut, this is Neil Klummer, urging all of you to have a good day and find a good hobby.
Well, get ready now, Paul, because we've reached the moment we consider to be the major highlight of today's show.
Which is saying a lot when you consider all the other highlights on today's show.
Right. Not the theme, Paul. We're only half done.
Oh.
Now, there is a chance for you listeners at home to win.
Did you see that blonde that's waiting for him outside?
Look, business before pleasure, Paul, all right?
Right.
Now, this is the chance for you listeners to win $24 in cash if you can correctly identify the Bob and Ray mystery tune that Paul is going to play.
Sit down, Paul. You have a lot of work to do. You heard him right, neighbors. We had no winner last time, so that means our giant jackpot has grown to an astounding $24.
But a fortune in cash is only part of the treasure that awaits you. Tell them about the wonderful merchandise gifts
Right.
that wealthy friends of the show have donated, right?
Well, there are a half dozen lovely souvenir ashtrays from the 1982 Knoxville, Tennessee World's Fair.
Oh, that was a good one.
They come from a generous sponsor who wishes to remain anonymous. Also, from the Starburst Recording Company of Hollywood, 50 brand new albums that were never released because they were all recorded at the wrong speed.
And last but far from least, the Yardwell Laboratory has donated a dozen bottles of headache remedy that might have become a bestseller if it had ever been approved by the Food and Drug Administration.
Altogether, there's a whopping $40 worth of merchandise to the first person who can correctly identify this week's mystery tune.
Now, you'll find our phone number in the yellow pages under Chances of a Lifetime, Wholesale and Retail. So look it up and be the first to call if you recognize this tune.
It's hard to believe we didn't get a single call on that. However, it means we'll be adding to the jackpot.
Wait a second, Ray. They have to look up the number and then dial it. That takes a little time.
Yes, that's true. Some of them take their own sweet time about it, too.
It appears one listener has stepped lively because we do have a call. Hello.
Hello? I would have called sooner, but your number isn't listed in the yellow pages under Chances of a Lifetime, Wholesale and Retail. I found it under Promotions, Cheap and Flashy.
Well, I guess the listings vary from place to place, but the important thing is you did reach us. Can you identify our mystery tune?
Oh, sure I can. I've been hearing that one all my life. It's entitled, Buy Me Some Peanuts and Cracker Jacks.
No, I'm sorry. I believe that line may be in the lyrics, but it's not the title.
That's funny. I think that's why my grandpa Wallingham always called it that. But if it's not that, then... Oh, hey, the title must be, I Don't Care If I Ever Get Back.
No, I'm awfully sorry, sir.
Well, could it possibly be Let Me Root for the home team?
No, it couldn't possibly be that.
I didn't think so. Just give me one more guess.
Well, we don't usually let contestants have more than one guess, but you seem very close to the correct answer.
All right, we used to sing it when we all went out riding in Grandpa Wallingham's old Graham Page. Wait, I got it. The title is... If they don't win, it's a shame.
Oh, I'm sorry. And I'll have to call time
Wait,
on you.
I know the title. It's 1, 2, 3
No.
strikes, you're out.
No, you're just getting farther away from it now. The title is Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
How could that be? Those words aren't even in the song.
Oh, yes, they are. That's the first line.
I never knew that. I guess it's because I always cranked up the Graham Page for Grandpa Wallingham. By the time I ran around and jumped in, the other kids were already up to the part about Buy Me Some Peanuts and Cracker Jacks.
Well, it's unfortunate, but thanks for giving us a call anyway.
And Grandpa Wallingham for always making me crank the Graham Page. He could have asked Billy Joe to do it once in a while. Down the boat!
Yeah, they truly did cause you to lose out on a wonderful opportunity today, but your misfortune means that our giant jackpot will grow to $27 next time when we again search for a lucky winner in our Bob and Ray Mystery Tune Contest.
Ladies, let me remind you that only 2 days remain to enter the giant sweepstakes contest now going on at your Monongahela Metal Foundry showroom.
There's nothing to buy and only a certain amount of obligation. But you could win a full new set of extra shiny steel ingots every month for as long as you live, or one of 528 smaller prizes.
And the sweepstakes contest is so simple to enter. You just visit your local Monongahela dealer and give him your estimate of the total number. If your guess is close, you're a winner.
But you must act before midnight tomorrow, so get on your thinking caps and start preparing your estimates now. And now come with us as we again return to Garish Summit and its endless story of intrigue among the socially prominent. There in stately splendor, far removed from the squalid village below, They fight their petty battles over power and money. As our action resumes, youthful executive Caldwell Murchfield has vanished, following the discovery that he embezzled funds from the family business to pay his gambling debts. Caldwell's brother Rodney is discussing the disappearance with Wallace Yodenfuhr, chief engineer of the Murchfield Lead Company.
There's not much I can tell you, sir. I was at my desk trying to figure out why the number 17 isn't divisible into anything. And when I looked up, I realized that Caldwell hadn't been there all day.
I see. And when he left the previous evening, did he mention any personal problems that might have been bothering him?
No, people don't usually bring their personal problems to a mining engineer. I didn't take any courses at A&M on how to get along with other people. I guess it shows.
Yes, it does, Yodenfuhr, but I'm overlooking that for now in my desperate effort to find Caldwell. Was there anything you might have seen around the office that could help us pick up his trail?
I don't think so. He was on the phone to his bookie most of the time.
Uh-huh.
That's about all I ever saw him do, except filch money out of petty cash and get it ready to mail to his secret Bolivian bank account.
I didn't know he had a Bolivian bank account, and I'm sure the police aren't aware of it either.
Well, that's probably because he went to so much trouble to keep it secret. I wouldn't have known about it either, except that he kept yelling over to my desk, "Hey, Yodenfuhr, I've got more money here to mail to my secret Bolivian bank account. What did you say that post rate to Bolivia was again?"
How clever of you to figure out the true story behind that innocent-sounding question. I can just picture what must be happening right now somewhere in Bolivia.
Beats me, Slick. Murchfield said to meet him right here, next to the teller's window at Bernie's Bank of Bolivia, but it's almost closing time and he never showed.
Yeah, something's wrong. He said he'd be here, and I know he wouldn't vanish permanently before he collected the millions he's got on deposit here.
I smell a double cross. We helped him steal that dough from Murchfield Lead, and he promised to split it with us after we made it to Bolivia. What would you do if you had an appointment to shell out money and you were low-life scum like Caldwell Murchfield?
Gee, I don't know. It's hard for me to predict what other people will do. I remember once when my high school history teacher said there probably wouldn't be any essay questions on the final exam, but then, you know what she went right ahead and did?
Yeah, you told me a dozen times what she did. But I'm more interested in what Caldwell Murchfield's done. I could just picture him now, laughing at us while he's living in luxury somewhere.
Here's your bread and water, senor. Now go lie down on your mat of straw.
Okay, but I don't think you people ought to give this kind of shabby treatment to a tourist. I may never come back.
You may never come back because you may never leave, senor. My government does not laugh ha-ha when others take us for fools. Did you think we would really believe that you're the noted Americano Walter Mondale?
I wasn't sure, but it was the only fake passport they had already made up at the place where I bought it, except for Mary Lou Retton. I figured I had a better chance passing myself off as Mondale.
Sacramento.
No, actually, I think he's from Minneapolis, but I may have put something else in those phony papers. What happens to me now, anyway?
Only time will tell, senor. My men have searched your luggage and found the name tags on your handkerchiefs. Now you must wait to learn why a man named Caldwell Murchfield might wish to keep his identity a secret.
Will Caldwell find that life in a Bolivian jail is much better than the future he faced in an American jail? Will engineer Wallace Yodenfuhr find that 17 is divisible by something else, after all? And what about the servant who foolishly sewed name tags on Caldwell's handkerchiefs? Be sure to join us next time when we'll hear the bank teller say,
You have 40 million pesos in your account, so here it is in American money. $19.68.
That's in the next exciting episode when we will continue with the endless story of Gary Summit.
Well, unless Paul Taubman has the wrong music on the stand. That's our theme song, and it means today's get-together rolls to an hilarious halt.
Our thanks, as usual, to Larry Josephson for developing and producing our show on behalf of the Radio Foundation.
Thanks also to his associate producer, Lars Hoel, who hates to buy a package of 4 batteries when he only wants 2.
Sound effects by Al Schaefer, who still can't picture which one was Haldeman and which was Ehrlichman.
Technical director was David Glasser. Engineering assistants were Marty Newman, Miles Smith, and Jay Newland. Production assistants were Bill O'Neill and Charles Whitson.
Our program came to you as recorded at Howard Schwartz Studios in New York.
Funding is provided by a major grant from the National Endowment for the Arts, additional funding from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting through NPR's Satellite Program Development Fund, and from public radio stations.
Now, this is Ray Goulding reminding you to write if you get work.
Bob Elliott reminding you to hang by your thumbs.
For a free picture of Bob and Ray, send a stamped self-addressed envelope to Bob and Ray Picture, Box 5000 GPO, New York 10116. Again, send a stamped self-addressed envelope to Bob and Ray Picture, Box 5000 GPO, New York 10116. We regret that we cannot send a picture without a stamped self-addressed envelope. This program was independently produced by the Radio Foundation.